Chapter 7, Lesson 2. Main Ideas. Government. The Tang dynasty built a powerful imperial state. This efficient government continued under the Song dynasty. Economics. Tang and Song China had a strong economy based on trade and farming. Science and technology. Under the Tang and Song, the Chinese developed technologies that influenced the world. Advances under the Tang and Song. Build on what you know. As Lesson 1 explained, the Sui dynasty reunified China. In 618, the Tang dynasty succeeded the Sui. The Tang rulers faced the task of keeping the recently reunified China together. They also wanted to hold onto their newly gained power. Building the imperial state. Essential question. How was the Chinese government organized under the Tang and Song dynasties? Ruling a vast country like China was a difficult task. To rule more efficiently, the Tang rulers developed an imperial state. Imperial means related to an empire. The Tang used several ideas they had learned from the Sui dynasty to keep this organized, well-run government. For the most part, Tang's central and local government and military organization follow Sui models. In addition, the Tang used the Sui tax system. They even made the Sui capital, the city of Chang'an on the Wei River, their capital. Chang'an was important because it was located on major trade routes. Chinese government. The Tang government was like a pyramid. An emperor ruled at the top, and many people served in various levels below him. The emperor's chief advisors served him directly. They were the second highest level of the pyramid. Below those advisors were the bureaucracy. A bureaucracy is a government that is divided into departments. Each department in China was in charge of a certain area, such as taxes, agriculture, or the army. This political system ruled all of China. Local governments throughout China had to report to the central bureaucracy. A law code. Tang rulers created a new code of law. It listed all of the laws of China so that the same laws would be used everywhere. This new code proved highly effective. China used it from about 624 until the late 1200s. Scholar officials. The Tang needed to educate people to work in the bureaucracy. For many jobs in the bureaucracy, people had to take an exam given by the government. The Han and Sui dynasties had also given exams to job seekers, but the Tang rulers greatly expanded the system. The state exam tested knowledge of Confucian ideas, poetry, and other subjects. The test was long and difficult. Most people who took it failed. A person who passed the state exam could become a scholar official, an educated person with a government position. Almost all scholar officials came from the upper class. Most wealthy people had relatives who worked in government. In China, relatives often helped each other get jobs. Also, only rich people could afford the education needed to pass the test. The Song dynasty. After the Tang, the Song dynasty ruled from 960 to 1279. The Song dynasty expanded and improved the exam system. It set up more schools and changed the exam to cover more practical subjects. More people took the exams, passed them, and got government jobs. Even so, most officials continued to come from rich families with political influence. Prosperity from trade and farming. Essential question. On what was China's economy based during the Tang and Song periods? Under Tang and Song rule, China's economy grew. In fact, China became the wealthiest and most developed nation in the world. One factor in this growth was an improved transport system. Changes in travel and trade. The Tang and Song governments built many roads and waterways. This transportation system helped tie the Chinese empire together. Better transportation improved trade. Traders used the new roads to move grain, tea, and other goods. Along the roads were inns in which travelers could stay. Mounted messengers and runners carried government mail on the roads. This improved communication. Waterways were just as important. The government repaired old canals and built new ones to link major rivers. The resulting network of waterways provided an efficient way to move goods and people. Trade was also improved by several technological developments. These developments include gigantic ships powered by both oars and sails. Such ships made sea voyages faster and safer. The development of the magnetic compass, too, improved travel on the open seas. Changes in agriculture. Around AD 1000, Chinese farmers began planting a new type of rice from Southeast Asia. This rice ripened faster than the type they had used before. With the new rice, farmers could raise 2 or even 3 crops a year instead of 1. The food supply expanded rapidly, allowing the population to grow to about 100 million. During Tang and Song times, the Chinese turned areas of the Changjiang Valley into productive rice paddies or fields. Farmers used pumps and canals to drain water from marshes. They built terraces on hillsides and used elaborate irrigation systems to water them. By changing their environment, the Chinese farmers gained cropland. Additional land enabled them to grow more rice. These changes in a mild climate allowed southern China to grow more rice than the people in that region needed. Farmers sold the extra rice to merchants, who shipped it by canal to imperial centers in northern China. Having extra food meant that fewer people needed to work as farmers. As a result, more people could work in trade. Changes in commerce. By the Song period, trade was thriving in China. Barges and cargo ships carried goods on canals and rivers and along the coastline of China. They also brought Chinese foods and other products to foreign lands such as Korea and Japan. The growth of trade led to a rapid expansion in the use of money, in the form of coins, to pay for goods. However, large numbers of coins were heavy and difficult to carry. To solve this problem, Tang and Song governments began to print paper money. They were the first governments in history to do so. As trade increased, more people became merchants. China's merchant class lived mainly in cities and towns where most private trade took place. The cities grew and prospered. By the Song period, China had a few cities with populations of about 1 million people. In contrast, Paris, one of Europe's largest cities, had only 150,000 people at the time. A time of brilliant achievements. Essential question: what technological advances were made under the Tang and Song dynasties? The Tang and Song dynasties were among the most creative periods in China's long history. Poetry and art in particular flourished during this time. A golden age for poetry and art. 3 Tang writers, Li Bai, Du Fu, and Wang Wei, are considered among the greatest Chinese poets of all time. Li Bai wrote about life's pleasures. In his poetry, Du Fu praised orderliness and Confucian values. And Wang Wei wrote of the beauty of nature and the briefness of life. Tang artists produced beautiful pottery figurines. During Song times, landscape painting became an important art form. Song painters used only black ink, in every shade from pale gray to the darkest black. As one Song artist noted, black is 10 colors. Today, Tang pottery figurines and Song landscape painting can be found in museums around the world. Primary source. Background. Wang Wei, who lived from 699 to 759, was one of the great poets of the Tang dynasty. This poem is about his experiences as a scholar official. It describes what happened after he disagreed with the emperor. On being demoted and sent away to Chuzhou by Wang Wei. How easy for a lowly official to offend, and now I'm demoted and must go north. In my work I sought justice, but the wise emperor disagreed. I pass houses and roads by the riverside, and villages deep in a sea of clouds. Even if one day I come back, white age will have invaded my hair. Technological progress. In addition, the Tang and Song periods were a time of exciting advances in technology. Because the Chinese loved learning, they looked for better ways to support scholarly study and spread traditional ideas. They developed methods to manufacture paper in large quantities. Paper was easier to write on than other materials such as silk cloth. The Chinese also invented wood block printing. Printers carved wooden blocks with enough characters to print entire pages. Later, printers created movable type. The Chinese used paper and printing to make the first printed books. This allowed them to record their knowledge in a permanent form. Historic influence. Chinese technology shaped history in China and in the West in many different ways. The technology of papermaking spread to the Arab world in the 700s and later to Europe. The Chinese invented gunpowder, which they used for fireworks. Later, gunpowder changed warfare by making deadly new weapons available. The Chinese made the first magnetic compass, which spread to Europe. Compasses helped make the European age of exploration possible. The Chinese influenced daily life by exporting porcelain and tea to the world. Porcelain is a hard, white ceramic, often called china. People desired porcelain for its beauty. It became one of China's most valuable exports. For centuries, the Chinese used tea as a medicine. During the Tang Dynasty, it became a popular drink. Later, traders brought tea from East Asia to Europe. Lesson summary. Imperial China was run by a bureaucracy filled with scholar officials. Improvements in agriculture and transportation helped make China one of the most powerful countries in the world. Chinese inventions such as the compass, gunpowder, and paper shaped the history of other world regions. Why it matters now. Chinese inventions such as porcelain and paper money are part of everyday life in the 21st century.